Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to briefly look into the Shlokas between 2.11 to 2.30. Why specifically I have chosen this Shloka? It's talking about the eternal health. This is where we understand who am I. That is the question that everyone has, and that is what this Shloka is all about. Basically, when we say who we are and what are the properties, why we should not grieve, all those kind of questions are answered by Bhagwan Krishna in these Shlokas. We'll try to understand it in brief. Let's start. So, as we know, Bhagavad Gita starts with Arjuna having his concerns like why are we killing people? But he, he was going away from his duty, and that is where Bhagwan Krishna stepped in and explained it that he should perform his duty and why he should perform his duty. Now, it starts with the Sankhya Yoga, or basically understanding ourself, basically the wisdom of eternal self. That is the knowledge of our own self. So, who are we basically? So, the first key takeaway from this shloka is we are not body, we are eternal soul. We actually identify ourselves as body. That is the biggest root cause of all the distress and the unhappiness or the problems that we face actually in this material world. Once we start identifying ourselves as an eternal soul and body, just uh, basically a medium to achieve that uh, final goal of basically moksha when we say or the supreme lord. So that is the body is just the medium. But what we are just eternal soul. We are an eternal soul. We are unborn. Basically, we are never born. We are always eternal, and soul never dies. So even we never actually will die. It's just the body will actually die. You could say the death is of the body. It's not of the soul. So based on that, Bhagavan Krishna asked, why are you grieving? Or what is inevitable? When we say inevitable means see, the body is going to decay at some point in time. Some point in time there is an expiry date of the body. So that expiry date will some or the other way it will come into the picture. But it doesn't mean that we do wrong thing. It just means that there is a natural process. There are karmas and everything that will take place. And then based on that, at some point in time, you have to give up your body. And the soul basically based on the karmas and etc. takes up the another body. So birth and death. When we say birth and death, they are just changes of the body. So it is like we are changing the clothes, right? When our clothes become dirty or it gets torn off, we change the clothes. So that is, you can just give that analogy for our birth and death. So when we take birth, we get one body, and as we get older and once we die, so we change that body. So basically, soul is just interchanging body. That's it. It's finding new body and it is lying in that. But soul, by its own property, it is indestructible. Cannot be killed actually. It is all beyond physical harm. So there is no physical harm that can be done to soul. It is the identification when we identify ourselves as body that is the point where we actually start to actually feel all these unhappiness and all these things of the material world. So do not grieve. We already covered the eternal nature of the soul. Soul is never born. Then changes of bodies we talk about, right? We talked about it. Then soul is indestructible, right? It cannot be cut. You cannot cut the soul into two halves or etc. Cannot be burned. Cannot be burned. Yeah. Cannot be wetted. We cannot pour water and say that it is wet. Or it cannot be dry. Soul is basically can you could say it is uh, cannot touch it. You cannot cut it. You cannot burn it. It is kind of uh, out of this material realm. That is what Bhagwan Krishna is trying to tell you. That with this material, it's something eternal. It is very spiritual in nature. No weapon can pierce it. No fire can burn it. No water can wet it. No wind can dry it. Right. So all these elements of the material world, they can do nothing to our soul. It is again beyond birth and death. Right? We are just changing the body. Uh, the birth and death is basically of the body, not of the soul. And it is eternal, all pervading. It is everlasting. It is all pervading. It knows, knowing this truth, one should not grieve, and it is immovable. Right. So this is what the Shlokas 2.11 to 2.30 is trying to tell us. Let us look at some of the commentary in these shlokas. This is why Swami Vipunananda, you can actually access this over the web. And also it's there as a mobile application as well. So this is the starting point where Bhagwan Krishna is trying to tell Arjuna that you should not move on physically, and it is not worthy of grief. So the wise person never uh, basically laments for any living or dead. The next sloka, Bhagwan is trying to tell that in 2.12, we existed every time. I mean, there is never a time that uh, none of us exist. Or basically, see, soul is eternal, right? If soul is eternal, that means we exist. We always exist. There is no other time. There is no time where we didn't exist. There cannot be anything. Even in future, we will always exist. That's what Bhagwan is trying to tell in this shloka. If we move on, then Bhagwan is giving a very simple example. Like we grow from childhood to youth to old age, right? And similarly, soul also passes into various bodies. So in case of deaths and everything, the wise men, they are not deluded by this. They understand what is actually happening. This is just a process, nothing else. And the feeling of distress and happiness and etc. Like uh, all these things actually, it is just because of the uh, perception that we have that we are body, right? And body is basically has sense and sense objects. Basically, this identification to body and the sense objects and senses basically this gives rise to happiness and distress. So basically, the perception of happiness and distress. All these things they are non-permanent. There is there is a cycle, right? Not every moment you would be happy, not every moment you would be sad. Obviously, it is like changing like the winter and the summer seasons. It is what Bhagwan is trying to tell us is that obviously when we live in this material world, we are going to face a lot of difficulties, etc. We are going to have some good moments, but then we have to be very stable in all conditions. We need to understand that how to tolerate it. We shouldn't get disturbed with that. Now coming to the next part, what is Bhagwan trying to say to Arjuna? So basically, you can get moksha only if you are unaffected by happiness and despair. You remain steady in all these conditions. See, why happiness is also one of the condition, right? So suppose someone is earning or someone has done very well, is successful, and is very happy. So at that point in time, it is, but obvious, there is a tendency to get actually become proud. That that ego would be actually triggered. So people won't be happy, won't be steady in that. And plus, distress, obviously, we all know, we are never steady in distress. So that is why we should make sure that we are stable in both the conditions. We should accept it as a part of the normal process which is happening, and we should move on from that. And for the transient, there is no endurance. Internal, there is no safety. So that is what Bhagwan is trying to tell, that as eternal soul, right, we are never going to die. Or, okay, we are always going to be alive. We are eternal. That's the whole thing. And as far as body is concerned, at one point in time, will be finished. There is an expiry date to the body. So the birth is of body, and death is also of the body. Soul is just a kind of powerhouse which stays there for some time. Once the expiry date is uh, basically when we so basically when you get the when you reach that expiry date, so at that point in time, soul will actually move out of that body. So basically, it will just remove that plug of power. Basically, now there is no power in that body, and then it is that basically. That is what is called as that. That which that is what I'm saying. That which pervades the entire body is known to be indestructible. Indestructible. No one can cause the destruction of the imperishable. So the powerhouse or the power of our body is basically soul, and on top of that, the actual power comes from the Supreme Lord Bhagwan Krishna. Only the material body is perishable, right? Like, I mean, it has been continuously been told by Bhagwan. Only material body is perishable. So when we say perishable, obviously it has an expiry date. Embodied soul with it is indestructible, immeasurable, and eternal. You cannot measure soul. You cannot see it. You cannot feel it, right? It is indestructible. It is immeasurable and eternal. So that's the important point. Many people are trying to say, "Oh, I didn't see the soul. How so I won't believe it. It doesn't. It is not like that. You can never see it. It is immeasurable." Basically, if anyone thinks that soul can be killed or soul kills, so that's not true. It doesn't do that. But it also means that say, so this is very important point here, right? If I say that soul doesn't kill anyone and soul is also not killed, right? So it gives me right to kill anyone. So why murder is also a punishable offense? So in that case, the body is the vehicle of the soul, and destroying any living being's vehicle is a violence, right? See, every living being is also a soul. God has gifted that particular being also this body, the vehicle, and destroying that vehicle is also a violence. Say I buy a car, I'm not sitting in that car, so does it give right to anyone else to actually destroy my car? No, right? It is my vehicle. I shouldn't be doing that. So we shouldn't commit any violence towards anyone. Even killing of animals is a crime. So all those kind of things. So violence is only permitted in case of self-protection. That's an important point, right? And plus, uh, for to perform your duty. So basically, like soldiers, right? Soldiers are protecting us. They have to kill the terrorists and all those criminals, right? If they don't kill them, then they are not performing their duty. Then it becomes a crime. So basically, they are allowed to do that. So like a doctor is allowed to actually cut some part of the body just to save the patient's life. But not everyone else is allowed to cut anybody's or kill anybody or use that knife. Now the other point is like we have already discussed, soul is eternal. It is neither born. Eternal means it will never born, it will never die. So nor having once existed does it ever cease to be. Obviously, eternal thing, it is there from eternal time, infinite time. It will stay till the infinite time. It is beyond time basically. If you tell in short, it is beyond time. It is ageless. When we say ageless, it is immortal. Basically, that's what we need to understand. We are actually immortal. We don't need uh, to actually do anything to be immortal. If you identify that you are a soul, that is it. You would understand that you are immortal. That is the point, right? If the soul is basically imperishable, like it has no expiry date, eternal, unborn, immutable, how it can kill anyone or get killed, right? And like we are changing the clothes, we torn clothes at the time of that, the soul casts its worn out body and enters the new. It is like changing of clothes. That is happening at the time of death. And we have already discussed this. Weapons cannot hurt the soul, it cannot cut it, it cannot hurt it. It is unbreakable, incombustible, it cannot be damned, it cannot be dried, it is everlasting, unalterable, fully spoken of is invisible, inconceivable, invisible. So it is clearly mentioned here. It is invisible, inconceivable. It is not conceivable, right? Cannot conceive it, and unchangeable. So the property, or basically soul's main property is Satchit Anand. When we say Satchit Anand, Satchit Anand means Sat means eternal, Chit means knowledge, and Anand means always happy. That's the property of soul. That is certain, right? That is going to be certain, and rebirth is also inevitable. One who dies, there will also be a rebirth. This is just the process of manifestation that happens physically. The the initial stage, the beings are in the unmanifested state. Then it manifests in life using the body, and then it unmanifests on death. They leave the body, and then some year is amazing, and and some people cannot even understand what is soul. So this is the property, and that dwells in your body is immortal. You should not mourn for anyone. So Bhagwan is advising Arjuna and even to us that we should not mourn for anyone. We should do our duty with due diligence as per the instructions of the God. Make sure that we help people, we have that kindness, we have that generosity, we do good things for people in the society, and make sure that people are happy around us. And don't give them pain. This will make Bhagwan happy. Do everything for Bhagwan. Do everything for make sure uh, that uh, as a part of your duty in this universe, you are doing what makes Bhagwan happy. We are servants of Bhagwan, right? He gives us everything, even though we don't care actually. We don't. Uh, we don't. We are thankless people actually. We we never actually thank God. He keeps on giving us food. He keeps on giving us everything. We make sure that uh, we get everything from this universe. We exploit this universe very badly, but still, he is very, very merciful. He is very gracious enough. He is very generous. So all those same things that Bhagwan is doing for us, we should do to the other living beings as well. and treat everyone well. Because everyone there is Bhagwan residing in each and everyone, each and every living being, and you should treat them well. So if you're not treating them well, this is like insulting God. So this was the brief information about the Shloka number 2.11 to 2.50. Hope you liked it, and this will encourage you to actually read Bhagavad Gita. Thank you so much. Have a good day.